All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Idea Box Show, presented by the EdReach Network, giving educators a voice, a big voice. You've reached episode number 1 for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014. This is the show where we explore the work school librarians are doing every day, from teaching to technology and collection development to collaboration. On each show, we will feature a rock star school librarian sharing ideas that we can all learn from. I'm your host, Mary Morgan Ryan. I'm a pre-K to 5 school librarian in the western suburbs of Chicago. I'm just an average school librarian, and I work with students and teachers, parents, and administrators every day. I'm always looking to improve my program, so I'm excited to start and develop this podcast. The Idea Box Show is designed to be a series of casual conversations with school librarians of all kinds, where we share ideas and we expand our personal learning networks. So today we're going to talk with Edie Crook, and we're going to talk about having her school library open during the summer. So, hi Edie.
Hi, Mary. Thanks for letting me be the very first guest.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your school library?
Okay. I'm in Gastonia, North Carolina. It's near Charlotte. I'm a K-5 media specialist beginning my 4th year. I was encouraged to go to library school by a friend that I worked under as an assistant. So I say that because we always need to advocate when we see someone that is suited to be a media specialist. We need to encourage them and support them in their education and doing that. I'm a wife, a mom of 3 teenage boys, 19, 17, and 15. I'm finally breaking into winning grants, so I encourage you, if you're not successful in the beginning, keep writing and trying. I love to collaborate, not only within my school, but anyone who has a great idea and wants to share across the computer, and a lifelong learner. My big news is September 6th, I'm turning 50. And I have a collaboration with the public library for Dot Day. We're going to recognize that as it would be on my birthday. So that is an exciting day I'm looking forward to.
That's wonderful. Well, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here as my very first guest. That is big news about Dot Day on your birthday.
Thank you.
And as we were talking pre-show just a few minutes ago, I, like you, was encouraged by somebody who saw in me the traits of a school librarian and said, you know, you really should get into this. It would suit you really well. And, you know, I took the advice as you did and never looked back. So it's been great. EdReach appreciates your support. One of the ways that you can support EdReach is by rating us on iTunes. Go to edreach.us/network and find your favorite shows and click on the iTunes link. A little iTunes love goes a long way. Thanks again for your support. So the first 3 segments of our show today are going through Edie's Summer in the School Library program as an idea that all of us could learn from and who knows, maybe replicate in our programs. So Edie, tell us about the summer program and how it got started and what's involved in it.
Okay. This is the 2nd year of our program. It is funded through our county and through our administration. We were asked if we wanted to have a summer program, and again, this year we did say yes. There's also a 3rd grade summer enrichment going on, but this is separate from that. They have a separate person dedicated to the media center while they're having that 3rd grade summer program. It's county funded. We wanted to make sure that our students had access to books. They may not have transportation. They may not have print material in the home. And we wanted to advocate for them anything that we could do to prevent complacency or not having access to books, just to challenge them to keep reading. Our hours, very broad. 8 to 3:30, Monday through Thursday. Our county closes the school on Friday, so the accessibility was definitely there. We're running until July 31st, so it was a um, 6-week program.
So, Edie, I have a question. Is this just in your school or is it in other schools in your county as well?
I think one other school agreed again this year to have their media center open. The hours are divided between myself, a first grade teacher that's also covering hours, and a teacher assistant. I worked 3 full weeks, and I'm going to go the last day. But the coverage is by 2 other people also, and that allows for a nice summer break. And I love to do reflection during summer, so I'm able to do a little work there and reflect and take that back to school. It's nice too, Mary, that other people that you work with can see all the things that happens in a media center, even if it's just summer. They learn a little bit more about the circulation and how the books are organized and how you do things there. We structured it so there were themes. We had a water theme, pirates. We wanted to have hands-on activities, read alouds, and then have a book checkout. The programs were held twice a week, and we had 3 different age groups: K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. And then there was open time in between those times where people could check out. Everybody was involved. They promoted it. We also sent a flyer home that we'll have a link later so you can see what that looks like, what we sent home. And then we did a Connect Ed message to promote that we were going to be open during the summer.
And so who else is in the building? It's just the library staff?
Our principal and vice principal, they're year round. We have 2 instructional facilitators. They're also within the building. And then we had the 3rd grade summer program.
Okay. I was just wondering about during the school year, we have the secure entrance and you can't just walk into the building. I didn't know if that might be different during the summer.
Our schools remain open. The administration is there Monday through Thursday, and their hours are 7 to 6, Monday through Thursday. So they have a 4:10 schedule and then
Right.
close on Friday.
Right. So you have people with you in the building while you're doing this. Yeah.
Yes, there's lots of people there, and it's good too. The administrators, they check in on us, see what we're doing, connect with the students. It's always nice. Teachers come in, they might do something with their room, and they'll pop in too, and the students can visit with them.
So when you chose a theme, did you go with any of those sort of pre-packaged library summer reading programs?
I did more mind science related because the theme this year was Fizz Boom Read, and so we had the water. We did a gummy bear science experiment, putting the gummy bear in salt water, regular water, vinegar, and baking soda, and we looked at that to see how it changed. So we wanted to do some hands-on things. When we get to the what would you change segment, I have a few things that I know definitely that I would do, and you can remind me to touch on it, but infusing more technology in that, maybe having students record, or I don't know if it's book trailers or other things like that. Just introducing something that, we'll cover that when we get to that.
All right. So before we do, though, I was wondering about pre-planning. How much time did you spend before the summer program, sort of getting it ready, and did you have to present a budget, and how did that work?
We were given a budget that we could spend money on supplies if we needed. A lot of those things, for instance, that gummy bear experiment, you have those things in your kitchen cabinet, but we were given a budget to buy some supplies. Another theme that the first grade teacher is doing is pirates, and we had books that were given through First Book that were pirate themed, so she's giving those books out. Uh, you could do it pretty economically. I'm thinking again, though, in addition to some of those changes, maybe having surveys. What book would you like to read in a book club? And hand out books and let them have a book club.
Mm-hmm. So generally on a typical day in the summer, how many visitors are you getting?
On average, about 10, and that is the K3 group, and the 4-5 around 8.
That's nice numbers. It really is. That's such a great opportunity for the kids.
And a lot of those are walkers. So they're getting there walking
And
because
it's air
it's
conditioned.
a neighborhood school.
Right. All right. So this is your second year. We've covered your budget. Oh, the planning though. How much prep time do you think it took for you to get ready to do this activities and things like that?
The flyer was developed with 2 or 3 people, and it'll be easier next year because we're going to have that ready and
Mm.
already we wanted to tweak it as we were printing it. It's so I think if you feel that this is something you want to do, you need to have at least 2 months planning. I think it would go a lot smoother.
Start in like April or so?
Develop your themes. What kind of PR are you going to do? What are you going to do if you don't get the results or the number of people that you expect to come? Have some of that outlined too ahead of time. But I think at least 2 months would make for a smooth program.
I don't think we've mentioned sort of how this connects with your public library, and that they're not involved in this, right? But your students, do they have access to the public library?
They can, if they have transportation, they could get there. This was a way to offer anyone within walking distance of our neighborhood school that they could do that. This is separate from the public library. We're not really trying to compete with the public library. I will mention, though, our public library this year with that third grade program, they had library workers from the director of the library on to someone that worked at the circulation desk visit weekly at these third grade reading programs that were taking place around the county,
That,
which to
that's
hear the
wonderful.
love of reading from all different levels of the library, they got it. The students really love that they would see the checkout person and they would recognize them there with it. It was really neat. I
Right.
was there one day when the library worker, the director, when she came in, and she and I even talked about how she could help me. So I think it's all about asking people, letting them know your needs, and working with your community.
Hmm. So having done it for 2 years, it sounds like you're thinking you might want to do this again. What sort of tweaks might you make for another year in the future?
Sometimes the decision to do this might be made at the last minute. If you think that it's a possibility, I would go ahead and think about some of the things that we've already talked about and that we will talk about later for changes and recommendations, and just start outlining that in your mind.
So what are some of the things that you've already mentioned that you'd like to bring more tech into it for a future
Hmm.
summer?
Think about the themes, your hours, activities. It's possible you're going to have more staff that want to work than hours available. So resolve any of those issues if they come up. It is hard to plan at the very end of the year because we know what the end of our school year can be like. Mary and the other media specialists, I'm sure, can relate to that. You're trying to do your inventory.
Right.
You're trying to get all your books turned in. And I read a lot at the very end of the year on Twitter. Why are we trying to get all these books back in? We should want them to have access, have the books and have them over the summer. If you have a lot of student turnover where they move, that makes it a lot harder. But if we really look at what value that the student might receive from having the book checked out all summer, it's probably in the long run worth that, to have that. Changes, I am this close to saying, yes, I'm going to have the makerspace when I get back to school. I might just print up a sign, makerspace, and just do whatever happens, because a lot of people I've heard have done that. They don't have all the bells and whistles, but they just go ahead and baby step it. So I think if you're going to have a summer program and you don't already have a makerspace, that would have been the perfect time to roll it out, and it would have been a smaller way. And then I could have gauged what the kids thought about it and gotten some reactions.
That's true. You can put some Legos out and see what happens.
Exactly.
Right.
I really would have wanted more of things that they can make and take with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I mean, that would be based on themes and activities. It could have been something that they had the pieces and they did it at home with somebody.
Right.
And
They take
carry
a kit.
that
They could take
home.
a kit home. Right.
Just to maybe involve the parents or their family a little more. Inviting different people to come in. Maybe having a special event, not just your times that you had divided by age group, but maybe you wanted to invite an artist in, or a singer, or someone that draws. If the students would have known about a big special event, maybe it would have been a bigger event to rally around the whole school.
Right. A storyteller would be another choice too. Right.
Mm-hmm. I think that would have been a wonderful thing, because we had the age groups, the 3 different age groups, but if we would have had a central time maybe once a week where anyone could come for a big event, I would have liked that. I think that would have generated buzz, and I think that's what you want to do, continue to do throughout the summer.
Right. Find different things that keep the interest level up.
Okay. This I'm not sure about, but I like the way it sounds. An ongoing creation of something in the media center. I don't know what that would be. Maybe it's adding to an art project, or creation of a display, or you build or plant something. Having a project that the participants had a part of, and mentioning that at the beginning of the year. This is the garden we constructed. This is the art piece we created as a community. We already mentioned leaning more towards the tech integration. Maybe they create a book talk, coding, and again, the maker space. I heard today was National Hot Dog Day, because I think the pigeon tweeted something about, the pigeon and the hot dog.
Yeah.
So if you had those special days, that could have been the buzz that you needed to generate an event around.
I did not know today was National Hot Dog Day.
I think that it is. And again, Mary, it's so hard to collect data on beyond just checkouts, but I think when you have smaller numbers, you can really build relationships and build book love.
I was just thinking when you said that about readers advisory, and during the school year when a whole pardon me, when a whole class comes and visits, I've got a whole string of children behind me to work with, and it would be a joy to be able to spend more than just 2 minutes, with a child and really dig in and help them find something that really suits their taste. That would be,
Exactly.
yeah, really nice.
So I think just thinking more than just a book checkout, that this time can go so much deeper. Uh, I'm not sure what it looks like, Mary, to recognize the people that participated. How do you do that? Is it at the beginning of the year? Is it on the announcements? I'm not sure, but and what kind of recognition do you give them beyond a mention? That's something that we didn't really decide on as a team before the summer began, but I think it is important to let people know, yeah, it was open and I came.
Well, that makes me think, how are you keeping track? Is it only by looking at their record and seeing if they check something out?
We have a sign-in sheet, so they sign in when they come in, and we can track their visitation that way.
Yep.
I mentioned that about generating buzz. So here's some other ideas that I would like to implement maybe next year. A mystery or a secret day, creating a garden, building something for the school, or sharing something with the students that only they're going to know about. Maybe it's your brand new books that you got ordered and they're the first to look at them because we all know they love that.
That would be really cool to like help open the boxes or something during the
Right.
summer.
And even help them stamp,
Hmm.
process books, which I think we all need a little help with that sometimes. Well, and again, if it's tech related, making them the expert of something new that you're going to roll out, and then they can help you with training, which I love to do that with a student.
I love that idea that come fall, they're the expert on whatever it is, making a book trailer or something like that.
They're the leader, and also not only are they the leader and then know how to do it, they can promote whatever it is that you were doing. Uh, Surveying for a book club, I think if even if the students weren't able to come, if we threw it out there, what kind of books would you like to read? That would provide cross age groups, which we know there's different levels of readers on different ages and different book interests. So if we had genres and said, which one of these titles would you like? Matched up people, gave them the book, gave them an avenue to either come and have a discussion at the school or set it up in a moto and monitored it that way so they
Hmm.
could still be connected. I think there's ways to do things over the summer, even if they aren't physically there, and we didn't really consider that, but I would for next year. Um,
So,
utilize.
all right.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to say, if you, let's say I'm listening and I am thinking about doing this, um, talking about you sort of making recommendations to somebody else who wants to jump in and try a summer program. What
All
do you
right.
think are 2 or 3 things that they really need to keep in mind? Like the most important considerations for starting a summer program?
I would outline what they were going to do, themes and hours, get all that set. I would be open to some of these ideas that weren't so structured. K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I can see how those different age groups, I think that would, having them interact differently on different age groups, I think that would be better suited for the community of the students. When I say the community, I mean our students, of our readers. because we would be tailored more to what they were interested in, not restrict it so much by a grade level. Now, there is open time that people can come, read books, they can have access to the computer, so that's built in, but it's we didn't have the other activities planned, say the book clubs and things like that.
All right, so if I'm thinking about starting it, I'm going to think clearly about the parameters of the program and also what kind of programming I want to offer. In addition to, as you said, just plain coming in and having access to books, right? And what's going to meet the needs of my students, my community.
And it was very important to me as a media specialist that they had access to any book that they wanted. Any book. They hear it all summer long. It's not in your reading level. You can't have that book. Ah! Generally, when that happens, I negotiate with the teacher and the student. Could Mary please have this book after she successfully completes this one for you, and I have it on hold, or could we go ahead and let Mary check it out so she has it when she finishes?
Mm-hmm.
But it's very important to me for access to any book, regardless of the reading level, especially during the summer, because
Absolutely.
if the motivation is there, that's the biggest battle that we have a lot of times.
Right, and I think a program like you're running really gives that a boost because there are no assignments. I mean, it's really free choice, and we can wander the stacks and pick something that looks interesting and check it out. You know, like you said, it doesn't matter. I think that's fabulous.
Mary, the other recommendation that I wanted to mention, if I may, is thinking about how you're going to measure the success of the program. And we have a lot of data, access to a lot of data, and sometimes we're not sure how to measure or analyze our data, what's happening. We can look at if we had a growth in a reading level, or how many books were checked out, or the success on AR quizzes. So I would want, for the program next year, I'd want to know what are we looking for as a measure of success? Should we survey the students? Were they happy with what we offered? Maybe they wanted something totally different. So
right, and
survey the students, and if you have a one-time visitor, maybe you need to survey them as they come. If you realize they're going to be a regular visitor, maybe you survey them at the end of the summer. Surveying the parents. How do you measure a relationship that's built where I really connect to you as a reader, or other students connect to each other as readers? You can't really measure that in a way that's going to have a major impact on the student and on their reading, but that's going to be harder to measure
It's almost like you need anecdotal evidence. Those things are really hard to quantify and put on a graph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If the student has increased excitement about reading, they're branching out to other genres, they're no longer reluctant. I mean, that to me is what we want to have out of our summer reading program.
And all year long, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is something that I'm really interested in how you're doing this. I would love to see it when you're finished. We talked about sort of advocacy and communication, and how are you sharing out the great things that are happening in your summer program with your community and with your administration, or with the world in general? And you mentioned before we came on air that you have sort of an idea of how you want to do that this year, since it's your second year. So tell us about it.
Right. Okay, last year we really just looked at numbers, and that was reported back by our administration. What we just some data that way. I would really like to go beyond just books checked out, how many people came, and AR information, but share, um, survey the students, and that'll be something I'll have to pull together. And it could be if I don't see them before the last day on the 31st, that I'll quickly survey them at the beginning of the year just to get some feedback on the summer program, because I think that that is really important. And I'd be happy to share what I put together at the end. Maybe we can add that on somehow, a link to what we have at the end for our data collection.
I would love that. Tweet it out, and we can put it in the show notes as well, a link to it if you're going to put it online. That would be really great.
Okay, that would be good. And
Wonderful.
I really want the data about, or I've last week at our professional development, I talked about PR. The emphasis, what I kept hearing was telling the story. And when we do PR, we're telling a story, but our advocates, they tell their story about how the library or the media center impacted them, how it changed them, how it helped them become a better reader, or just realize the joy of reading, or find their niche, their genre. So that's what I would like. I would like to get some stories.
Right, and sort of weave them together with the data to present a picture of what happened. I think that's fabulous. Can't wait to see it. So I think that wraps up our sort of discussion about summer in your school library. It sounds like a really wonderful program, and I'm so glad you shared all those details, because I know there are lots of school librarians out there, and a lot of them could be thinking about either doing this or maybe changing up their summer program based on some of what you've said. So we have two more things to do. The first one is shout outs, and I was wondering, do you have anybody sort of in school library land or teacher world that you would like to give a shout out to?
I do. I have one. A lot of these people, Mary, I haven't met them, but I just know them from Twitter. Lisa Milstead, she's also a fellow North Carolina media specialist. She is at Lisa Milstead on Twitter. She also runs North Carolina TL Chat. That's the hashtag, and she has a weekly chat. Two new friends that I met on Twitter are Christy Breen and it's Julie Oldfield. Will we have their Twitter hashtags in the show notes, Mary?
Yeah, we'll put those in the show notes. So she's, yeah.
I
We'll put
love
those.
it when I meet someone and Christy is in her second year, and what a rock star. I already found some wonderful ideas from her, and Julie is beginning her first year. So that's exciting too.
That is exciting. I've run across Christy on Twitter as well. So,
Nice.
yeah,
The the book about extra yarn, she had the third grade and I believe it was first grade. They wrapped some branches with beautiful yarn, and it's decorating in the media center. It's wonderful. I love it. I want to do that with a class this year.
that's a great idea. Thanks, Christy. So I want to give a shout out to a colleague of mine. Her name is Stephanie Stiglitz, and her Twitter handle is at Tech and Books. And I think that says it all. She's a fabulous school librarian. She's fairly new on Twitter, but I really think you ought to get to know her at Tech and Books. I look at her program a lot when I'm thinking about making mine better. So Stephanie, thanks for everything you do. Your students are really lucky. And the second shout out I wanted to give was to next week's guest. I have another fabulous school librarian who has agreed to come on the Idea Box show, and talk to us. She actually was given a whole group of iPads, but without sort of cases and charging stations and a way to manage them. And so she's going to come on and talk to us about how she figured all that out and what she does to make those iPads work for her school building. So her name is Chris Hughes, and she's from Coral Springs, Florida, and her Twitter handle is @Chris with a K, Chris L. Hughes. So looking forward to getting to know her a little better next week. And lastly, I want to know, Edie, is there anything going on in the library world in terms of news or tips that you'd like to share with us?
I have some upcoming events that I'm going to attend, and I generally, Mary, say I can't leave the media center. I'm too busy to go to professional development things during the school year, but no longer. This year I'm going to go to Ed Camp, North Carolina. It's September 27th. And also our North Carolina conference is in October, so I'm going to attend that. And I shared before the show about a Lowe's Toolbox for Education grant that I was awarded that is going to fund my son's Eagle Scout project to build 20 little free libraries. So that is what we're going to be working on with 5th grade next year. So I'm really excited about designing and the art that's going to be involved and the collaboration. It's going to be a wonderful experience.
I think that's fabulous, and I'm going to watch your Twitter feed to see, how it's going as time goes on. That's
cool. A great way to have access to all the time.
Mm-hmm. So my piece of news is a class that I just started on Monday, and if anybody's interested, you can still register for it. It's free online PD, and it's called Copyright for Educators and Librarians, and it's put on by professors from Emory and Duke, and forgive me, I can't remember the third university, but it's through Coursera. I'll put a link in the show notes. It goes July 21st to August 18th, so it's 4 weeks, video lectures and exercises to do, and discussion boards, so that I can sort of sharpen my copyright knowledge and work with people in my building, both students and teachers, to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. I can always use more information about copyright. So if you're interested in learning more like I am, that might be a good free class to take. And that's a wrap for our very first The Idea Box show. Thank you so much, Edie.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you letting me be a part of your show.
Absolutely. So tune in again, everyone, for more idea sharing. And that's going to do it for us. Edie, one last thing. Where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter at Edie Crook.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter as well at @mmorganryan. And hey, why not follow EdReach Us on Twitter as well? And do make sure to subscribe to the EdReach weekly newsletter and pass it on. You can do that at edreach.us/newsletter. Those newsletters are a really great way to get the latest blog posts and podcasts and news coming out of the EdReach network. Thanks again for joining us, and let's continue the conversation on the EdReach network. We'll see you next week.